What's up, you guys? Welcome to today's video. As you can tell by the title, we're going to be doing another video in my Locked Up With series. Now, yes, I know it's been kind of a long time since I made one of these videos, but honestly, that's just because I couldn't really think of any more stories until I was talking with Reese and this story came up. So I had to immediately sit down and film this for you guys before I forget, because mom brain is a real thing. Now, before I get started, I'm not glorifying or glamorizing going to jail or prison. I'm not flexing. I don't think I'm tough. I don't think I'm strong. I think there is nothing cool or gangster about going to prison. It is my hope that in sharing these stories, someone out there will be deterred from making the same kinds of mistakes that I made. And hopefully other addicts out there feel less alone and are inspired to seek recovery, whatever that looks like for them. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I had recently just arrived at McPherson Prison in Arkansas. Now, I was only supposed to be there for a few weeks. I was going to be transferred to a medium security facility, which is a lower security than McPherson. McPherson is a max. And the reason that I would be transferred is because I was pregnant. So if you had some kind of very serious like illness or you were pregnant, they sent you to Wrightsville unit, Hawkins unit. The reason that they would do that is it was just more laid back, it was a little bit safer, and the prison didn't want to risk pregnant women being in a maximum security GP facility. They wanted to make sure that we were over there at Wrightsville so that we could not only receive our prenatal care, but so that it was a little bit more laid back and the risk of someone attacking me is a little bit lower. So that was just one of their policies. They sent all the pregnant women to a medium security and got them out of the max. But for those of you that have been watching me for a long time, you know that after I gave birth to my daughter, I was kicked out of the medium and sent right back to the max. So it happens. That's just prison life. I'm not talking about the Girl Scouts. I'm not talking about summer camp or college. I'm talking about prison, and shit happens. But as soon as I got to McPherson, I think I had been there for 4 or 5 days, and this girl comes in, and I could tell that we were just about the same length in our pregnancy. I was probably 6-7 months pregnant, and I could see that so was she. Out the gate, she just looked really scared. You know, she looked really scared, and she was very timid and very shy. She wouldn't speak to anyone. Now, I had gotten the idea to go talk to her because, one, you look scared, and I feel bad for you because you just look really scared, and I wanted her to know no one's gonna mess with you here. It's okay, you're good. If anyone messes with you, I'm right there. Like, I'm pregnant, what am I gonna do? But I just wanted to reassure her that she was gonna be okay because added stress is not good for your baby. So you guys, the stress of being in prison is one thing. The stress of being in prison pregnant, through the roof. Through the roof. My blood pressure was always high, and it was just a really dangerous thing. So just to get back on track with the story, I had seen her, I had seen that she was nervous, I had seen that she was scared, and I went up to her and started talking to her. I introduced myself. I said, look, the policy here is that we're gonna be transferred to the Wrightsville unit together. We're gonna be spending a lot of time together. We're probably gonna be in the same transport bus because they're not trying to make multiple trips. So, you know, my name is Jess, it's nice to meet you. What's your name? So we started talking. And it almost immediately came up, what are you here for? You know, because I need to know who I'm friends with. I need to know what she had done, and that's just prison politics. You know, I need to know if she hurt a child. I need to know if she has a bad charge, and if she does have a bad charge, I cannot associate with her if she is a sex offender. Now, contrary to popular belief, women can be sex offenders, and I've been locked up with a lot of females that have that charge. I know a lot of people think only men can commit that crime. That's just not true. That's just a stereotype that is completely ignorant, and yes, I have met plenty of women with that charge. That's a whole video in itself. But I needed to know why she was there. I can't share my stuff with you. I can't be friends with you. I can't look out for you if you have that kind of charge. I just can't. So as soon as I asked her why she was there, she shut down. She didn't want to talk about it. Now, I can give you a little bit of space, but this conversation is going to be had. You can't just dance around it. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to explain to you guys, like, you have to let me know why you're here. If you don't, I'm automatically going to think that there is something wrong. I'm automatically going to think the worst. And when I say the worst, I mean prison politics worse. Murder is not the worst charge that you can have in prison. I'm not condoning this. I'm not saying that this is good. I'm just saying that if her charge was murder, then that's okay. I can associate with her. As long as she did not hurt a child or sexually assault a child, it's okay for me to talk to her. So because she wasn't offering up what had happened, I immediately thought it was that kind of a charge. So now I'm a little suspect. As the days had progressed, I had asked her one more time, and I kind of just explained my position in a really gentle way. You know, you have to tell me why you're here. If you don't tell me, I'm going to find out anyway. And if it's a bad charge, then I can't associate with you. And I might not have explained to her what bad charge meant. Bad charge did not mean manslaughter or murder. Bad charge meant a sexual charge with a child or killing a child. So I think maybe that is what has gone on. So of course, I automatically think the worst. Well, I didn't have any money on the phone, so I couldn't call home. So I had to get another inmate when they were on the phone with their family member to pull up her number and pull up why she was there. And all I could get in the first, few days of doing some research as to why she's here is that it was a manslaughter or murder charge. Now, I'm not exactly sure which one it was, and this story will make sense as you keep watching. So I'm like, okay, manslaughter or murder, I can still talk to her because I don't know what exactly had happened. They didn't say there was any charges with a child. They said the charge was murder or manslaughter, and then she had a couple of ones for a meth lab. So of course I'm like, damn, now I'm even more curious, like what happened? What in the world happened? So I am automatically like, whoa, now I need more information. You can't tell me half this. You can't just tell me that. But that was all the information that I had for weeks, you guys. So I'm still associating with her. So we had eventually been transferred together to the Wrightsville unit, and a transport takes a lot of time. They have you pack up all your stuff. They have you go up to intake so that you can go out the door at Sallyport. A van is there waiting for you. You're shackled, you're chained up, black boxed up. I don't think I was in leg restraints. I don't know if the prison had put me in leg restraints because I was pregnant, but I know that I was in handcuffs with the black box. The county jail used to belly chain me and shackle my feet. The county jail in Fort Smith, Arkansas, pregnant woman, belly chained, feet chains every single time. And there were some times that I would try to fight back and tell them, you're not taking me anywhere if you're gonna belly chain me. Like, it was just insane that they would do that to me, a pregnant woman. So sometimes I would win that little fight with the correctional officers in the county jail, sometimes I wouldn't. I did see that President Trump overturned that for federal inmates. I don't think it's state by state. All he can do is the federal inmates that are pregnant can no longer be belly chained. So I have to do a little bit more research to see if state by state is gonna follow that order, because it's just not safe to have a pregnant woman in leg restraints and a belly chain. Moving on. In the van with this girl, I am trying, because we're bored. What are we gonna talk about? Nothing. In a prison dorm, there's stuff to do. You gotta go places, you gotta go to chow, you go to the library. Like, there's a lot of movement in prison. But now we're in a van, dude. We're in a van on our way to a new prison. There's nothing to do, nothing to talk about. And it's me, her, and then two other women on our way to a Wrightsville unit. So here I am, curious AF. I need to know. Now it's like driving me crazy that I don't know. Why are you here? Why? And my brain just won't let it go. I'm just like, look, chick, you gotta tell me why you're here. I already know that it's a manslaughter charge because we called home and we found out that charge. So just give me the details. And she just put her head down, and you could tell that she was so embarrassed. So I didn't want to be aggressive about it. It was clearly something that she had a lot of guilt for. And I understood that she was in prison and she had tremendous shame and guilt, because anytime it would get brought up, her mood would completely change. She might go from smiling and talking about coffee or something dumb in prison to someone asking why she's here, and she put her head down immediately in shame. Her whole demeanor changed. So I didn't want to be like cruel about it, but I also needed to know it's just the prison politics of it. She still didn't tell me. So eventually when I got to the prison, I had my mom Google her and pull up news articles of what had actually happened. If there's a murder, then we're usually able to pull up a news article of some kind. And since you're fresh to prison, this didn't happen that long ago. She probably came into jail the same amount of pregnant as I was, and I was only 3 weeks pregnant when I got arrested. So, there's gotta be news articles because this is relatively new. It's not like a decade ago, right? So we found it, and what had happened was she had a meth lab with her boyfriend, and for some reason, something had gone wrong, and I guess her boyfriend killed someone. And the story really takes a lot of twists and turns, but during the course of 2 weeks, they had kept this body in the trunk of their car, and they were driving around with this body in the trunk. Now, you guys, I felt really bad for everyone in this story because, first of all, someone lost their life. Second of all, when you are high on methamphetamine, it's like you're not even the same person. So I could only imagine what it must feel like to, after being on a bender for who even knows how long, to get sober and have the realization that you were part of taking someone's life. So of course she has shame and guilt, and of course she feels terrible about it. Of course she doesn't want to talk about it because that was the worst thing that had ever happened to her. And a lot of times people are in prison for something that happened in an instant. Their worst mistake, their worst day of their life is the reason why they're in prison. So my mom had told me the details of that, and I never brought it up with her again because that was on her to heal and to make peace with her past. But I was friends with her, and she had gone into labor about 2 weeks before I did, and I was so scared watching her go through that. Her water broke around 7 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, oh my God, that's so embarrassing. Hope my water doesn't break, you know, because what do you, like, you're in prison, you're not at your house, right? And when your water breaks, there's just fluids everywhere, and I'm like, oh my God, I hope that doesn't happen to me. Who cares if it happens to you? You're having a baby. But I was so scared that I was literally like picking apart every single thing that happens to you when you're pregnant. And I'm like, hope that doesn't happen to me. Hope I don't have a baby or something. What? Why? But I saw her go into labor, and she was just crying, and she was so scared, which I felt that in my soul because that was about to happen to me. But when I saw the guards immediately pull her out, I was relieved because I'm like, oh, they're gonna take care of her. That's what's gonna happen to me. Now, if you don't know what happened to me while I was pregnant in prison or having a baby in prison, I will link that video down below. But when I saw the guards immediately come in and take care of her, I felt this huge wave of relief because I thought, wow, they're gonna take care of me as soon as I go into labor. That's not what happened. They left me in the infirmary for hours. Now, to get back on track with this girl, she had come back within a couple of days, and her baby had went to family, and you know, she was so kind and soft-spoken and so sweet, and I really just kind of got the feeling that this was her boyfriend. This was a situation where she didn't pull the trigger, but she obviously didn't tell law enforcement or tell authorities. So she was in prison for something that someone else had done. But you guys, that is how easy it is to spend the rest of your life in prison. You really have to be careful with who you associate with, because someone in your circle could make a split-second decision to pull a trigger, and the next thing you know, you're sitting in prison for the rest of your life. Now, she did not get a life sentence, but she got years. She got over a decade in prison because she didn't tell law enforcement that there was a body in the back of her trunk. Drugs will make you do the craziest things. Drugs will have you not thinking clearly. Drugs will also have you think that you're in control of something and that's not really that bad. I would imagine that she maybe tried to pretend that that didn't even happen over the course of those 2 weeks before investigators found the body in the back of their trunk. You get really out there on methamphetamine. So if you are still struggling in addiction, please reach out for help. There are so many resources out there for you if you are struggling with addiction still. And if you are running and gunning with a bad crowd, I implore you to find the strength to leave those friends behind. I put that whole lifestyle in my rear view, and if I didn't, you guys wouldn't even know my name. You wouldn't know who I am, because I guarantee you that something like that could have very easily happened to me, and I was this close to spending the rest of my life in prison. I really hope you guys enjoyed this story. I really hope you learned something and took something away from it. I love you guys. Stay safe, stay sober. Please do not break the law, and I'll see you guys in my next one.